Hey everyone, this is Tim from YourSixStudios. Today in this video, I'm going to be giving my quick review of the Wolverine version 2 for the PlayStation 5. So let's go ahead and jump the video right now. So I watched many reviews from popular YouTubers reviewing this product. And one thing they did not mention when I watched them was how bad the initial dead zones are on the thumbsticks. And this is a reason why I would say you should not buy this Razer controller until it's updated, and everything else on this controller simply does not matter. So this is called a Pro controller. However, no Call of Duty Pro would ever use this controller. So in Call of Duty right now, I'm just in a private match. And if I move my right thumbstick with my finger here, you're going to see just how much dead zone is added to this controller. So I'm moving it. And right about there is where my controller actually starts to move on my screen. And this is at 0.15 in the game. So if I go up to the game settings and then go on down to controller, go to my inputs and move my right stick minimum all the way to 0. So there is no added dead zone whatsoever to my controller in the game. So this should instantly move as soon as I touch the right thumbstick, and it simply does not. So I'm moving my right thumbstick right now. You can see it's not moving on my screen. And right about there, it's moving. So I have to move my thumbstick this much just to get any kind of movement in the game. And there is no app setting with the Razer controller app to fix the dead zone. So on a basic controller, this would be a 0% dead zone. And on this controller, they added like maybe 10% to 15% of dead zone to the controller on top of whatever the default game dead zone is. So if you're playing like Destiny 2, this controller would be absolutely unusable on the PlayStation 5. You simply wouldn't be able to aim at the target without having a huge degree of dead zone. So although I love the extra top buttons right here, they're phenomenal. And I do love the back pedals here, but it is very hard to play with 4 fingers on the back pedal at the same time. I do have this aim controller that has back pedals, and I'm able to play with all 4 fingers on the pedals very easily, and it doesn't feel uncomfortable. But with this controller, it feels a little bit uncomfortable having 4 fingers on the back pedals, and then you're able to press the 2 on top here. And I've used the Razer Riju in the past, and I love that controller. You just simply aren't going to be playing with all 4 fingers on the back. It just doesn't seem like you're holding the controller as well. But it is possible to play like that, and I'm sure I could get used to it. But it just doesn't seem like I'd want to. And the buttons are really clicky. It's like a mouse click. I do love that. Then on the plastic molding here for the grip, they do kind of like rough up the plastic so it grips your hands a little bit and kind of dissipate the sweat a little bit more. And I have this really cheap controller where I added back pedals to it. And it has the same kind of plastic thing on it, and it feels similar to this $250 controller, even though this was only like 45 bucks. So I don't know, I'd probably just recommend going to Amazon and just getting the back pedals that you add to your controller, because this has 2 pedals right here and then 2 additional buttons in the middle. It only cost me like 45 bucks, and it was super easy to install. And you can add this to any PlayStation 5 controller. Then also another thing I never heard any of the reviewers like talk about was the mic mute button down here. When you press it, I mean, it will highlight it and it's red. But you notice in the game, nothing pops up indicating your microphone is muted. So you can only mute 3.5 millimeter headphones that are plugged into the controller. You can't mute just like any headphone you have with the PlayStation 5. So with the standard controller, if I go ahead and turn this one on, when I go ahead and press the mic mute button in the upper right side of the screen, the microphone is indicated it's muted, and I can use this with any headphone except oddly this PlayStation 5 headset that you buy. And another thing, there is no like rumble feature with this controller. It's simply not on the controller, so you don't get rumble. Also, there's no trigger effect or haptic feedback whatsoever, so don't expect that. So this controller is missing 3 critical features that a standard PlayStation 5 controller has: vibration, trigger effects, and then the ability to mute your microphone. Other notable negatives about this controller is how you can't turn on your PlayStation by pressing the PlayStation button on the controller. You have to walk to the PlayStation and then press the power button. simply to turn it on, because you can't do that with third-party controllers. So you're going to be paying more for less features and added dead zone. So the things I do like about the controller is the ability to remove the thumbstick easily just like that and add a longer one or a shorter one, or maybe like a concave or convex setup here. Also, I do like how the stick is offset, kind of like an Xbox controller. I was always a Xbox person growing up, so it's nice to have that option. I do like the clicky buttons, how it's like mouse click. I like the added buttons up top. I do like the D-pad, how it's also like a clicky mouse click button, and it seems like it's easier to use. I think the trigger stops on top are kind of cool. Those work actually quite well. So when I put the trigger stops on the back here, all I have to do is press it in just a little bit, and it's kind of like a mouse click as well when I'm pressing the R2 button. And I noticed when I have my controller plugged in, it indicates the player right here by the light. And when I'm charging it, it does like the same kind of thing with the light bar. And also I have this chroma light on the side of the controller turned off because it saves a lot of battery life. And on the back here you have selectors for the PlayStation 5 or the PC or wired or wireless mode. And you actually plug this in with a dongle. So if you have your headset plugged in, the camera, and then this dongle, that's all 3 USB slots on the PlayStation 5. So you will need a USB hub if you're going to be using anything else like a extended hard drive, or maybe even if you have another headset plugged in, or a mouse and keyboard. Now, one thing I did notice is when I'm typing, it does have gyro controls, so if I press both thumbsticks in at the same time, I'm able to activate this and then move around the controller and then type in my message. So if you are playing games like Fortnite, it does come with gyro, which is pretty cool, I guess. So although I love this controller, I can't recommend it to anyone until the dead zones are actually fixed or it's updated in the Razer controller app on your phone. Like I said, no Call of Duty Pro player would ever use this Pro PlayStation 5 controller with how large the dead zones are by default. So hopefully this video did give you a little bit more insight on this controller and everything it's lacking, and maybe some good things about it too. But I would say at least wait 1 year for this controller to get some of the issues figured out before you go ahead and purchase it. And hopefully by that time, the price will come down from $250 to maybe like $160. So if this video did indeed help you out, go and leave a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel down below for more tech out videos coming up next on YourSixGaming.